make this a discussion. I want to bring up is that this is not a
Correct.
feuding thing. This is a genuine public safety issue, and that's why it's
Good
come
point.
up.
Mr. Shubsta.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, if you exceed more than 300 people, and it's very vague when it says live music and a band can consist of 5 members, speakers, and where do you put them without a road closure? Where do you put the 300 people? So I agree there. That is a safety concern.
Yeah.
Mr. Ladenburg.
I was going to say the same thing. There's a difference between 100 and 300. 100 would be fine probably on a triangle, and there is room for the band. They've done it in the past. But 300 is a big difference from 100, and we would need a road closure. And I'm only putting this out there for the first date, and that's why I wanted to go to committee. I don't know, with it being the first event, maybe it won't be as well attended, but you don't know, depending on what band you have. With Facebook and everything, they may have their own following, and they may have 300. So you don't know.
Mr. Anders.
I mean, I think it's a nice event to add to the downtown, and if it draws people in, and I believe the businesses were discussing staying open later, which was part of their draw. But I agree that what is the capacity of the triangle, for people outdoors, without having that road closed, and then, of course, you have many more once it is closed, but that's a question mark.
Mr. Shubsta.
I have another question on that. So when the Emmaus Arts Commission has an event there or Main Street, they sometimes request 1 or 2 parking spaces for loading and unloading. Nothing's been requested here, so.
Right. Yeah, she hasn't made any requests like that.
Okay.
Mr. Anders.
Just one other question. Possible banner hung during the event, hung on the fence. Do we have a policy about hanging banners on the fences down there? Is there something, consistent?
A fee?
Usually, no.
Usually we don't allow the banners on the fence there. During events, I think we've allowed them.
Snowblast hangs in our fence.
Yeah, but they're our
banner.
organization.
They're our own organization.
Again, it just brings up a question that maybe you need
Can
to
I
research.
suggest maybe you deny this first one and send it to committee?
Yeah, that's
Send
what
it
I
to
just.
Parks and Rec.
Mr. Ladenburg.
I just said that to Wes. I said, why don't we just start in September?
So you'd like to
Because
You'd
I just
like to
thought.
withdraw your second motion?
Yeah,
maybe?
and another reason, I just thought of it after reading this. Yes, funny.
Thank you. And you'll withdraw your second?
Wait,
Thank
I
you.
didn't
No, go ahead,
say
Mr.
that
Ladenburg.
yet. I'm just saying, with 3 to 5 canopies and it says food and drinks, does that mean she can have vendors there? So there's another question.
And just for the record, so this wasn't her idea. She's trying to help out a fellow
Business person.
business owner. So she doesn't have all the answers. She has no problem with if the event is
You okay, Mr.
delayed for
Brown?
now so that we can get those answers.
I will withdraw my motion with the intention of starting in September
Thank
after
you.
it goes to committee.
Thank you. And the second's already been withdrawn. So I will refer this to
Drum roll, please.
Parks and Rec Committee.
That's fine with me.
Do we need a motion to deny Friday, August 7th? Would you like to hear that, Mr. Pepe?
Yes, please.
Is there a motion to deny Festival Fridays
So
to be
moved.
held on Friday, August 7th? Motion by Mr. Ladenburg. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes. Any other communication, Mr. Pepe?
No.
Mrs. Gilbert?
No, nothing.
All right, then moving on with communication this evening. That was fun. Borough Engineers Report. I have nothing this evening. Solicitors Report. Mr. Dimick.
Very briefly, the Weeder matter was litigated in common pleas before Judge Johnson. He took the case under advisement. We'll know as soon as we know, you'll know.
Very good. Thank you, sir. There was an article on MCall today I saw telling us that. Moving on to Unfinished Business Part 1. For Unfinished Business Part 1, I have ordinance number 1128 relating to craft beverages. Is there a motion to read the ordinance in short title? Motion by Mr. Shubsta, second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 6 ayes. Ordinance number 1128, an ordinance amending the Borough of Emmaus zoning ordinance of 1993 as amended to delete definitions and regulations relating to brew pubs and craft breweries and to substitute therefore definitions and regulations relating to craft beverages, craft beverage restaurants, and craft beverage production facilities to provide for such uses as conditional uses in the highway commercial, BH, light industrial, IL, and Central Commercial BC zoning districts, and to provide use, bulk, and performance regulation for such uses. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 1128 as read? Motion by Mr. Anders. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Labenberg. Discussion. Mr. Labenberg.
With the passing of this, I would like to wish the best of luck to our craft distillery that will be moving into the borough. So
He's actually going to have to file, just like Funk did, he's going to have to file for another ordinance approval.
oh, another one.
Yeah,
We'll need a conditional use.
yeah, he'll need a conditional use.
Okay.
Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote. Mr. Labenberg.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Shobsta.
Aye.
Mr. Anders.
Aye.
Mr. Holtsafer votes aye. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to new business. New business this evening relates to ordinance number 1129. An ordinance authorizing a loan for financing the purchase of 33 East Minor Street, 10 East Minor Street, and 151 East Minor Street, and to call and refinance the 2010 bond issue. This will be the first and second reading this evening, as properly advertised. Mr. Pepe?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, the short title isn't so short.
The short title's a page
Yeah, we
long.
did, yeah, we,
What? It's 2 pages.
go ahead, Brian, if you want to.
Do I have to read all that for real?
No, you
No.
don't. You
Just
do
reread
not.
what you
We
put.
felt this was good enough for you.
But I do have one quick comment.
Please, Mr. Demick.
The reason I was talking to Mr. Pulsini was to make sure your transaction is structured in 2 steps. Number one, you're going to be borrowing this money with a note, and you're going to be borrowing it to buy, we'll just say the Rodale building, for its 3 tracks, and to pay off some general obligation bonds. What I wanted to make, then there's a second transaction which will occur in the afternoon where you're going to actually purchase the building and on the 3 lots. I wanted to make sure, because normally these things are structured a little bit differently. And the reason I was talking to him about it was to make sure that there was going to be sufficient money to pay transfer tax, title insurance, pro rata on the taxes for settlement. After a brief discussion, we believe there will be sufficient money available, but there may be some that will have to come out. We may be moving some back and forth to make those numbers meet. But I wanted you to be aware of that so someone's not shocked later on and say, oh, well, why didn't we borrow more to cover all of these closing costs? We could have. It's probably not necessary. The costs, I believe the costs are coming in below the estimates, and that's where we hopefully make it up.
Very good. So is there a motion to read the ordinance in short title? Motion by Mr. Labenberg, second. Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion. All in favor? We have 6 ayes. This is an ordinance number 1129, ordinance authorizing a loan for financing of the purchase of 33 East Minor Street, 10 East Minor Street, and 151 East Minor Street, and to call and refinance the 2010 bond issue.
Mr. President, I
Yes, sir.
believe
Go ahead.
that is a sufficient reading. If any member of the public desires to see an actual full copy of that ordinance, please, if they would signal that they wish to do so, we will make that available. Otherwise, Mr. President, I don't see a need for you to read 2 pages of title.
We've also
Thank
had
you,
it
sir.
posted publicly in Town Hall through the duration of the advertising.
Thank you. Thank you both. All right, so what we're doing here is we are entering into a loan with ESSA Bank and Trust. It'll be a 7-year loan with a fixed percentage of 2.12%. It's prepayable at any time. It is a loan size of $5,796,000. It will allow us to purchase the Rodale property and pay off the 2010 bond issue. If you look on your desk at the loan RFP summary, Budget and Finance met with our financial advisors to discuss the process, to go through all the steps of what gets paid where, the amortization schedules, and to understand how this will work. So, I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1129, and then during the discussion portion of this, we'll answer any questions that you may have. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 1129 as read in short title? There's a motion by Mr. Brown. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion. Questions? Mr. Ladenburg.
Which one are we selecting?
ESSA Bank, the second on your list.
Okay.
And we're taking the blue option, the 7 years at 2.12%.
Okay, so the question I had was, according to our plan, what was our estimated payoff date? Are we shooting for 10 years? That's
yes.
the goal? I mean, I should say what the goal is.
It was 11.
11? Okay.
So what happens is it's an 11-year note with 7 years fixed.
So
what
the
we'll
last
do
4 years
after-
will be the question mark.
Well, what we'll do after 7 is we'll look at it, and if we don't like the rate that they're proposing,
Refinance.
we refinance.
Okay, thank you.
And there'll be a refinance. The hope,
perfect.
the true hope is that we'll be able to sell properties, move into the new building, and be far along in this process 7 years from now. Budget and Finance Committee voted by a 3-0 vote to take the ESSA Bank. We also considered Lafayette Ambassador a local bank. They had some other demands of us. They want us to keep $3 million in their bank at all times, that we don't always have $3 million on hand, and they wanted to have a meeting with the Retirement Pension Board before the end of 2015. We're assuming to try and sell that business, and we really didn't want to enter in something that, a loan like that had stipulations like that, concerned about the future. So ESSA Bank was the best rate. Mr. Pulsini, our advisor, felt that it was a very good deal, and we were all very happy with what we received. Further questions? Mr. Brown.
I just want to make a brief statement that I've been talking to some of the residents, and some of the residents feel like that this is an overnight, we're going to do everything overnight and buy this building, and we're going to be there tomorrow.
That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
But I just want to make sure I clarify to everyone, just like Mr. Lavenberg asked Mr. Pepes, that it is a 10-year process. It's going to be a process, and sell the buildings, like you said, Mr. Holthaver, and just so everybody's aware, it is a process. This isn't something that...
A major process.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that is not going to be taken lightly and be done overnight. So I appreciate, I just wanted to share that to calm some feelings or some thoughts out there that were kind of misconstrued, that, when people didn't show up, they just didn't have the information. So I just wanted to get that out there if possible.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Laidmer.
Yeah, to add to Councilman Brown, I also still had a couple people concerned about the fire department being there, and I basically said that's going to be hammered out in the committee process and well discussed before anything even moves forward with any of that. So that kind of put their mind at ease. We're not just going to move in there and then say, oh, what do we do now? It's going to be all worked out before we even move there.
Absolutely.
And I tried to reassure them that. And then I did have one other question. Shane, according to the goal the plan, the master plan that you had for this, the 10-year or 11, what was the estimated rate for that plan, and what did we get? We were below that, were we not?
So we showed you, I think, 3 different rates. One was a 2, I think one was 2.25, and one was 2.9 maybe.
I think you had a 2.9. I agree.
We were hoping to be right around 2%. 2.12, I think, is fair. Gary Pulsini, when we were originally looking at it, he was estimating right around the 2% mark. The market went up as we were preparing the bid process. He informed us of that, but it didn't go up significantly. 2.12 is, we're still saving on what we're paying on the bond.
But that still is lower than the lowest of the 3 that you did in the 10-year plan?
one was
2 1/4, did
no,
you say?
2%
Oh, 2 was the
was the
lowest.
lowest
Okay,
that
so
we-
you're
that
right
we
in
showed.
between the.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we are still saving money over what we're paying. We're just extending the life
Okay.
with the hope of selling buildings and keeping the life the same.
Well, we're not extending the life of the bond. The bond's still
Bond,
getting paid
Bond's
off.
done.
The bond is
Like,
still...
we were adamant about the bond is getting paid off in the
Paid
same
off.
amount of time as it originally was. What we did was we're not paying on the fees on the bond. We don't have to deal with the reporting on the bond. There's a lot that we're saving on the bond. And when we call the bond, we're saving a ton of money by simply calling the bond. All of that in itself is going to be a major cost savings. And Mr. Pulsini, when he created the plan, he could speak to it if you guys want him to.
Please. You want to speak, Mr. Pulsini? We'd appreciate it.
You're actually saving in 2016 on just that portion of the loan related to the 2010 refinancing about $100,000. When we add in the new money for the Rodell building, there's about an $80,000. So even with that $80,000 in 2016, you have a net savings of about $20,000. And when we first started this, we were at about 2%. Then I think all the numbers were running around 250, 265, somewhere around there. And then rates dropped down some, so we ended up with a 212. It's for the first 7 years. The amortization's over an 11-year period. The last 4 years, it floats daily with a maximum rate of 2.95. At the same time, at the end of that 7 years, you could always refinance. You have all your options available to you, let's put it that way.
Any other questions for Mr. Pulsini? Mr. Shipson?
No, I don't have any questions for him. No,
You ready
I
to
don't
make a
have any
motion?
questions for him. No.
You want to talk?
I just wanted to say, thank you. No, I just wanted to say that I think everybody did a great job, negotiating all of this and getting the best possible rate. I unfortunately will probably be voting against this because I voted against the purchase of the building.
You're not required to.
Well, I know, but I still have my, the reasons for it, renovation and costs and things like that. So.
Just approving a loan this evening.
Yep.
All right. Then, I guess we'll take a vote. Roll call vote, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Roll call vote. Mr. Ladenburg.
Aye.
Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Shubsta.
No.
Mr. Anders.
Aye.
Mr. Holtsafer votes aye. It is a 5-1 vote with Mr. Shubsta voting no. All right, motion passes. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Pulsini, gentlemen.
Thank you,
so
gentlemen.
much for your time and effort. We appreciate it. You're welcome. Moving on to items not on the agenda, subject to Rule 9. Anyone have anything? Mayor's report. Mrs. Gilbert, I see you have 2 proclamations this evening.
Oh, this is ironic.
It's going to be for a long time, too.
All right. Proclamation 2015-385. I, Winfield Yopes, Mayor of the Borough of Mass, under the authority of Article 10, Section 1028B5 of the Borough Code of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, hereby proclaim as follows. The 500 block of South Furnace Street between South Moyer Street and 539 South Furnace Street shall be closed to vehicular traffic on Saturday, August 1st, 2015, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. to secure the safety of participants during the block party festivities. Done this 13th day of July, 2015, in the Borough of Mass, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. Borough of Mass, Winfield Yopes, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. If you could be a little more Dutchified on the next one.
Would I offend anyone if I so choose to do that?
Why not?
I shall not. Proclamation 2015-386. I, Winfield Yopes, Mayor of the Borough of Mass, under the authority of Article 10, Section 1028B5 of the Borough Code of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, hereby proclaim as follows. Furnace Street at the end of 345 Main Street shall be closed to vehicular traffic on Friday, July 31st, 2015, between the hours of 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. to secure the safety of participants during the Where's Waldo Mass celebration festivities. Done this 20th day of July 2015 in the Borough of Mass, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. Borough of Mass, Winfield Yopes, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you.
Mayor reports progress.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to this evening's committee reports. Mr. Ladenburg, Public Works Committee.
Nothing to report. Progress. We have our next meeting is August.
You have a PennDOT winter municipal
We
agreement?
do have one thing there
Oh, you stuck
that
it
we
in there.
that we put in there. Yeah.
PennDOT.
We figured we'd make it work tonight.
Is it an actual?
Yep.
Yep.
So every couple years,
I'll
we
turn this
sign-
over to you to Shane because I'm not aware of anything about this.
Okay. Wow. Every couple years, we sign a PennDOT winter maintenance agreement. For example, we plow Main Street. That's a state road. They give us reimbursement money to do things like that. So that way they don't have to allocate resources to do it themselves.
So
They pay a certain fee for municipalities to do that kind of work. So every couple of years, they ask for you to re-sign the agreement. The agreement's standard. It's the same basic agreement that we've had in years past. I put it in front of you because we need your authorization to sign it again.
all right. Oh,
That's going to be.
I was going to make the motion.
Okay.
And then you have a question then?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we pass the winter municipal agreement with the Department of Transportation. And how long's
Thank you, sir.
how long's the agreement for, Shane?
5 years.
It's 5 years.
So to pass the 5-year agreement. So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Brown. Discussion. Mr. Barrett.
My committee.
And the general consensus on this is that this is a good deal for the borough based on,
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where unless you want to wait for PennDOT to, if you don't have this agreement, you can't touch that street.
right.
So if you want to wait for PennDOT to come here and plow Main Street, be my guest, or any of the other state roads.
Don't you have a
But
business
it may
on
take a
Main
while.
Good.
But also cost-wise, I mean, the numbers,
Yeah, so this year I think we received like $6,500 from them for last winter. They
Right.
actually, they took into account the overages that they estimated that municipalities had to incur,
yeah.
and they paid us more than what the contract price really was.
So Shane, this is a 5-year agreement. I don't remember passing this before on council. Maybe we have, and you weren't here then. So is this something that we're acting on the first time officially?
Well, you might be, but really you should be. I mean,
Okay.
this is your, again, we go back to
It looks like
whose
the borough
authority
manager
something
probably.
like this is.
Yeah, it looks like a borough manager in the past would have just signed it and sent it.
But it's
But-
really not my
I agree.
authority to enter that agreement. It's really your
Council
power.
has to, okay.
Yeah, because you could say, you know what, we want them to maintain their own road.
Any other questions?
Further discussion? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
Anybody have any issues or questions for Public Works? Our next meeting is Thursday, August 6th, here in council chambers at 3:30.
And that is with historical homes.
As long as they were
Yes.
scheduled.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Mr. Dyshava informed you, the water valves that we had budgeted were installed last week. They came in under budget. We do have probably enough funds to do one more 8-inch valve, so I think he'll be speaking with you at
That's great.
your next committee meeting.
That's two things in one night under budget.
He's a little business shark.
Good.
Yeah, he negotiated a deal, I think, to get the prices down there. But we may be able to do a 4th one.
Wonderful.
So he'll be discussing that with your committee.
And we'll also address the pothole. I don't know if he has anything to do with that, but make him aware that will be on the agenda also.
Yeah, he took the photos. He and Mr. Farnsworth have been in discussion, so you'll be able to
Okay.
pick his brain at that.
Anybody else questions? If not, progress.
Thank you, sir. Health, Sanitation, and Codes, Mr. Shubsta.
Thank you. Only one official item for this evening. You'll note in your packets, we have a resume here for an individual, Christian Harding. We need to complete a mandated MS4 stormwater project for the borough. Mr. Pepe informed us that he would like to hire Christian Harding. He's a senior at Kutztown University, majoring in geography. Needs to 150 hours of internship for graduation. It's a perfect opportunity for someone to get some experience, and as you could see by the resume, experience, work history, and also with the United States Air Force from 2007 to 2011. So I'll make a motion that we hire Christian Harding at $7.25 per hour to complete the MS4 stormwater project for the borough.
No, it's not 14.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
And nothing else for official action. We did have a discussion, and we will go back to committee in regards to maybe changing our policy with the grass, weeds, and snow enforcement. We were looking at purchasing door hangers, which should save us a considerable amount of money, which we pay $7 plus labor costs for certified letters for people who are violating. So we're going to bring that back to committee, discuss that a little bit more, and then bring it back to council. If anybody has any questions. I also would also like to thank the donation we received this evening. That was very nice. That will go towards the recycling barrels. And I'll report progress.
Thank you, Mr. Shubsta. Public Safety.
Now you skip Parks and Rec.
Oh, I'm sorry, Parks and Rec, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Anders.
Thank you, sir. Actually, we already handled the cyclocross race. I have one other item to discuss. It is, and you'll laugh, an event from the Girl Scouts for pumpkin chuckin' on Sunday, November 8th from 12 to 4 down at Community Park. Basically, it would be just girls with some slingshot type things shooting some pumpkins. They're seeing how far it is. They'll use it for, some data gathering, and just a nice little event. They will clean up as much as possible afterwards.
Yeah, just so you know, this is not the water balloon swing shot.
Yeah, I wanted
thing,
to ask that
okay, yeah,
question.
this isn't like we can launch it 600 yards through your house.
Okay, yeah.
They're actually
They're aiming for Makunji.
yeah. The design is that they're doing a team building project. It's supposed to be problem solving, team building. She's estimating they go if they go 40 feet, they'll be thrilled.
It'll be more like down in the parking lot down by the small field is where we had discussed them shooting it. So I would put the motion on the floor to approve the pumpkin chunkin' event on Sunday, November 8th from 12 to 4.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
Besides that, you can see in the notes just several miscellaneous things for discussion. If you have any questions, let me know. Yes, sir.
I just want to point out, I was down at the pool. I talked to the snack stand person, Tiffany, and they're doing fantastic this year. This Sunday, they did $1,000 in sales. She told me one day they did $1,600 in sales. So things have vastly improved at the snack stand. And I thanked her, and I said thank you from council because we had issues. As you know, we've gone all the way to the very end wondering who was going to run our snack stand, and we've had her 2 years now, and it's just fantastic.
She's done an excellent job. The other thing that's contributed is last Saturday we had over 700 paying attendants at the swimming pool. There's actually a concern from our lifeguards about pool capacity and how many people can be in the pool at one time. There isn't a calculation. Even though we had 700 paying customers and who knows how many season passes, every calculation we've done, there's like 3 different formulas you can look at. They all come up with a different number. We haven't gotten near capacity in the pool yet, even though we've probably had up to 1,000 people in the facility, not necessarily in the water, but in the facility at one time.
And just on that note, I did also see Tiff today. Actually, she was here at Borough Hall this afternoon. I thanked her as well. And I did notice and give kudos to the lifeguards. It seems like they're keeping things under control. I was down there last week at one of the busy days, and they really did. It seemed like everything was in control. It was flowing. It was busy. They do the adult swims, and they get the people in and out, and they're keeping the kids under control. It was pleasant, even though it was packed. So, give them their due. Anything else for Parks and Rec? Otherwise, progress?
Thank you, sir. Moving on now to public safety. Mr. Barrett or Mr. Brown?
I'll take it.
Thank you, sir.
So we have 3 items that need official action. The first is to hire a part-time EMT. You'll see in your packet her application for employment, and I'd like to place that in the form of a motion to hire Tara Apgar. And Mr. Pepe, can you clarify the rate?
I think it's
Tara Apgar.
down at the
20.
bottom.
It's
No,
not
that's
14.
what she's
No.
asking.
No, it's
for.
13.25, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 13.20. At a rate
I would
of,
just ask that you just
do not.
make it at a rate equivalent to all part-time EMTs,
Okay.
just so that
So I'll make a
not-
motion
Thank
to hire a part-time EMT, Tara Apgard, at a rate that part-time EMTs start at.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Is there a second?
It covers it.
Second by Mr. Brown. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 6 ayes.
The next is we had a request from St. John's at 5th and Chestnut. They are doing some reconstruction work, and they requested to have some handicap parking spaces on 5th Street. And the committee reviewed this twice, first at committee level, and then actually went out to, each individual went out to the location and observed, and it was a 3-0 vote to deny that request. So if anyone feels differently.
Can I ask?
Mr. Shipsa, go ahead.
Can I ask why? I'm
Yeah.
not on the committee.
So they have a full parking lot. Well, first, the construction that they're doing is actually putting in a handicap ramp to make it easier for some residents to get into the building. It's actually I don't believe there was a way that they could get in other than a very small ramp in the back. Now, this is a much ADA compliant ramp that they'll be able to go in.
Okay.
But there is a full parking lot, kind of, I'll say in the back of the building there, that you'd be able to, it's all on the same plane, go right up into the ramp. So adding and taking away the additional parking spaces didn't seem to make that much sense because there is already a raised curb, so they'd have to go around to that parking lot to come in anyhow. And then to take away the spots when they really already have the spots was the general consensus. If I missed anything, anyone?
No, it sounds
Okay.
Mr. Anders.
My question is, and I will say that I do attend the church. Weren't they just requesting it for Sunday parking, and don't we have that at other churches, at locations in town where they have parking available just for that specific time period? So if there's a precedent at another church, why would we deny it at this one?
Because I don't think all the other churches have the parking capacity that this one does. As far as it almost already had a handicap lot.
They have a lot, and then they have. I agree.
Mr. Ladenburg.
That space.
Yeah, not to throw a wrench in this, but my church, St. John's, which is maybe, 6 blocks from there, they do have their own parking lot, and we have 2 handicapped parking spaces on the side where the entrance is, and right below it, there's just a little placard that says Sundays only, and it has the times. I don't remember what the times are.
Yeah,
Mr.
but
Barrett.
that church's lot is across the street. This
Correct.
church's lot is on the same portion of the property where the handicap ramp is.
Okay, and I guess my only other question was, who applied for the handicap parking spot? Was it the church
The
itself?
church, yes.
So it's not a neighborhood, a resident that needs it? Well, then I'm in favor of denying it then.
Yeah, I believe that there are 4 that are currently marked as handicap there. I could be wrong on that number, but
Yeah, so there's.
I think that there are 6
there's a
total spots.
There's a full parking lot, and then there's a strip of 6 parking spots right behind the church. And Mr. Barrett's referring to half of those are already deemed handicap. They could literally make the other half handicap as well,
Right.
rather than going to a curb that it's a full size curb. It's an 8-inch curb, I think, isn't it? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
It's a full-size
it's
curb.
a full height curb. So there are no curb improvements there. If they're in a wheelchair, they have to literally push somebody down the street to get to the end of the block, and then push them up the sidewalk to where the ramp would be. Whereas if they just extended their handicap parking there, they would just push them through the lot, the parking lot itself.
And I think on top of that, there's always concerns for the congestion that exists at that time of the day. In the mornings, it's always a busy spot on a Sunday because of the businesses that are there, the churches that are there. All of that contributed to it. But the main one was that there's a parking lot.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Would someone like to make a motion different than the committee's recommendation? Hearing none. Go ahead, Mr. Barrett. You can continue.
And the next,
Volunteer appointments to the ambulance corps. You have Kent Fitzgerald and Colin Brown.
yeah, no, but I don't have their information.
Yeah, keep going. It's a memo. It's just a memo from Shane.
It's
There, that's it.
Yeah,
it's kind of there. You go.
He's one of my wrestlers.
So is it just appointing these 2 volunteers?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
correct? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kent Fitzgerald and Colin Brown to the ambulance corps.
There's a motion on the floor to appoint 2 volunteers to the Emmaus Ambulance Corps. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Ladenburg. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 5 ayes. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Those refusing to vote, Mr. Brown?
Sorry, I was reading. I vote yes.
Oh, you're voting for it. Thank you, sir. So we have 6 ayes.
Sorry about that.
Hey, we've all been there.
They're playing Pac-Man.
Just learning to read. Mr. Barrett, anything else this evening?
I have nothing further. The next meeting, it sounds like you have something you have a question about.
A question,
Yeah.
Mr. Ladenburg.
Just a question, and it's more for Shane, but it's related. Do we have anyone at all that applies to our volunteer fire department. Have we not had it? Are we putting that on hold, or where are we at
Yeah,
staffing-wise?
so
I'm just curious.
The Borough of Emmaus will not take any position whatsoever on any applicant to the fire department at this precise moment. We've been
Okay.
advised by legal counsel.
Just
as
because
to
somebody
that
asked
position.
me about volunteering, and I didn't really know the
can
answer, and I
apply-
said I assumed because of where we at legally that we're not addressing it at all.
Yeah, we're
Am
not.
I correct on saying that?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Am I correct on that?
You're correct. We are not addressing it, but they can apply
Right.
and they can be accepted down there.
They can do their
Mr.
own thing.
Fitzgerald applied to be a volunteer with them, and when they brought that to us, that's when I asked Mr. Dimick, and our official position is do what you want.
I had another gentleman approach me too. I don't know if I should say his
They-
name or
They
not,
can
but
do it.
I said to contact Borough Hall and it will go to a committee, but as long as somebody guides them in the right area.
Mr. Anders?
Just, I noticed the grant application, and thank you, Mr. Pepe, for working on a grant for blinking school zone lights.
Oh, yes.
I saw that here.
You're welcome. What would it come out to? 123,000?
130,000.
130,000.
So I think that's great progress to make. Thank you.
Hopefully, we can at least get some kind of funding.
Anything else for public
No.
safety?
So
Mr.
I will
Barrett?
report progress. Next meeting is August 5th. Yes, August 5th at 3 p.m.
Thank you. General Administration, Mr. Barrett.
We have covered the two items earlier in the meeting that required official action.
Wonderful.
Yes, so our next meeting is also August 5th at 9 a.m. Progress.
Thank you, sir. Budget and Finance. Our first is Resolution 2015-19. You want to read it, Mr. Shubsta?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Resolution 2015-19, resolved by Borough Council to authorize payment of the July 27, 2015 bill list as follows. Bill list $614,682.15. Payrolls 13, 14, and 15. $407,552.18. Payroll taxes, $145,718.72, for a total of $1,167,653.05, done this 27th of July, 2015, and I'll place that in the form of a motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion.
Correction?
Correction.
Payrolls 13, 14, and 15?
Yes.
407,252. You had said 500. It's $252,018.
I said 407.
407,000, but then you said 500.
I said 252, didn't I?
No, you said 500.
Oh, sorry.
252.
It's 252.
We'll rewind that and find out.
Yeah, we're going to find that one out. 200, all right, we won't fight about that.
Thank you, ma'am. For any further discussion? All those in favor? Here's 6 ayes.
No.
It's on budget and finance. Fine.
We have 5 ayes. Those opposed? Those abstaining?
I am listed on the bill list, so I will abstain.
Thank you, DJ Dutch.
Multiple times.
All right, so we're moving on now
No respect.
with Budget and Finance. Doesn't it say DJ Dutch on the bill list?
Probably, yeah.
It does. It doesn't say Brent Labenberg.
Yeah, it says DJ Dutch, 7844.
So moving on to the ambulance purchase. Mr. Hoffman approached the committee. He was budgeted to buy a van with a ramp. With that ramp, they would have to push people in a wheelchair up into it instead of a van with an automatic lift. He felt that it would be much safer and much better to buy the van with the automatic lift, although it costs $6,000 more. So we discussed funding. He has a bunch of donations he can use, as well as wheelchair transport income. He will be able to use his budget to purchase a better van. We were very impressed with his presentation and recommended that Mr. Hoffman buy the van with the automatic lift instead of the ramp. Someone would like to make a motion for that purchase. Motion by Mr. Brown. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Shubsta. Discussion? Mr. Brown.
You may not have this information now, but it's okay. But how are we doing in the line item of transports?
We have surpassed that budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I need
As
to
far
know.
as the wheelchair transports?
Yeah.
we have surpassed.
I know it's not really broken out,
Yeah,
but we have
we're
been
already
keeping an eye
past
on
the
it.
budgeted.
At the last line there, Mr. Brown, we budgeted 5,000 and we're already at 10,663.
All right,
So he's
thank you.
already doubled what we expected this year. So he's doing very well with it. Mr. Anders,
Does this replace that? I guess it's the green and white
Yes.
van that they have. Okay.
You had budgeted for a new wheelchair van.
Right.
I had discussions with Mr. Hoffman about why we were getting a ramp
No, I
pushing van.
agree with the
and
whole
we
premise.
agreed
I
on.
just wanted to make sure it was replacing that.
Yeah, we agreed that it would be best to ask you to look at purchasing the automatic this year rather than pushing the whole thing off until next year.
No, I think it's great. Okay. Can we sell the old one for some? Is that
Um,
it?
We've actually decided not to purchase something in the Public Works Department and transform that into something in DPW.
Excellent.
all right, we have a motion on the floor that's been properly seconded. All those in favor of the purchase? We have 6 ayes. Moving on to transportation mileage rates. Mr. Hoffman's receiving complaints from people about our non-emergency transport fees, and it comes down to the cost of mileage as they transport patients. And we were excessively high as compared to other local ambulance corps who do the same job. I'm not sure I have the numbers. Mr. Pepe? Is that?
Yeah, they're in here.
Oh, in his memorandum in the back. And we decided to allow Mr. Hoffman proposed mileage rates to decrease to a rate that is comparable to other organizations that are doing that business. Again, very convincing and very well prepared. We were impressed.